We're going to go now and
we got to give people their money's worth. Now, when they listen to the pre-show, they're going to be like, this is what I pay for.
Yeah,
I'm
this
so
is what you
happy I
lined up for.
dispensed with my
Exactly.
money.
It's really something. All right, here we go. Let's do a show. And, oh, God, that's all in the wrong place. There we go. All right, let's start it off in 3, 2, 1. Hey, look at us. It's the three guys that do the Corp show. It's me, Scott Johnson, Bo Schwartz, and John Jagger here to talk about video games, both breaking news in that space as well as what we're playing and why we're playing it and everything in between. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it. We're going to dive in here pretty quick. There's not, this isn't like giant news week for video games or anything, but I did want to jump ahead and read our normal email now that we would normally read at the end of the show because I want to get this out of the way real quick here. Talktothecore@gmail.com is where we get these emails. And this came from Colin, who says, you guys see all these Game Pass drops today? Holy crap, says Colin. So I thought I'd take a look and see what's going on. And in particular, I don't know why he's so excited, but Octopath Traveler came out today, which originally, I think, debuted on the Switch, is a Square Enix joint, traditional Japanese JRPG, but with a very cool side-scrolly looking art style. And I think I will finally play it there, but I don't actually know what else he's talking about, except there's a bunch of stuff on Game Pass today, and we're supposed to be checking it out. So, John, are you going to rush out to your... Go ahead.
It depends when he looked. I mean, all the Bethesda stuff got added, 2 weeks ago? All the EA stuff got added a week ago. So, I mean, if you haven't checked in, maybe you're looking at it and you're going, oh my gosh, look at all the top tier games that are on here now.
Well, and this one just happened. Let's see. This email, I just got it today, so I assume he knows about all that other stuff. Let me see here. Game Pass games right now.
Yakuza 6 is up there.
This is alphabetical.
The 6 Yakuza.
Well, here we go. Added. Okay, today. Here you go. Octopath Traveler. Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, like you just said. That's on there. Star Wars Squadrons added... Oh, that was back in March. So just 2 games today? Huh. Weird. All right. Well, okay. I guess I'm not as excited as I thought I was supposed to be because this dude seemed pretty stoked. Colin seemed to think that Game Pass had suddenly... Its train had come in finally, and we were missing out. But apparently all I care about is a single game in that list, and I will check it out and see what I think. I did play Empire of the Sun a little bit, or Empire of Sin, rather. Empire of the Sun is a movie. Forget what I said. Empire of Sin, which is the John Romero Games game, where they made like a turn-based squad-looking XCOM-like, but set in 1920s, like mobster, Al Capone kind of stuff. And it
sounds cool.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Here's what you'd like. You'd like all the turn-based stuff and the abilities and the weapons and the overwatching and the stuff. All that stuff's in there. Okay, so that's cool. And doing that in like bars and warehouses and this old setting in the 1920s, all very cool. It's the in-between stuff I think maybe I have a problem with. It's basically a giant spreadsheet of, okay, we knocked over that bar. Now we own it. So the speakeasy is yours, and now I have to kind of keep track of it financially. And there's almost like literally a spreadsheet going on of all your things you own and who's running them and how much profit you're bringing in, or if you're losing money. Like, it really wants you to get in there and, full-on spreadsheet this thing. And I don't think I want to do that.
No, that doesn't sound great. And I think that's the part of these games that always feels like needs the most work. It's why I'm surprised that you see so many of these turn-based games, XCOM-like games, focusing on, well, here's our twist on the combat system and all of that. It's like, you know what? XCOM pretty much nailed it. Not to say that there haven't been advances. There have, but XCOM did a really good job, but I still don't love the base building element of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of the other games like it have had a hard time with that section of the game as well. I think that's the area you focus on, is making that aspect of the game a little more entertaining and intriguing.
Yeah, and that is, I guess, kind of what that is for this game, because you don't really have a base. Your base of operations is your growing empire, and therefore how you get money and recruits is you knocking over a warehouse that smuggles liquor during Prohibition, and now you own that, but you've also got rival gangs trying to take it back. So you're supposed to use all those resources to build up your stuff and have your better quote-unquote technology increases and your tech trees, even though it's kind of a weird thing to say about the 20s. But it's got this really cool look to it and vibe and voices and all this stuff. Just left me a little dry on the whole, like, I don't know, just the management of it just seemed like a pain. I think it's why I like the Gears Tactics game so much, because they just go, hey, what if we just really focus hard on the tactics and the battlefield? And you'll still get upgrades and you'll still get cool things, but it'll be more like between mission loot and stuff like that. You won't have to go grind this out or talk to some dude in the basement of somewhere or expand a building so that your power supply is right next to the room you just built and then wait for that room to be built. Like all those XCOM ideas, they just forego all that and just said, what if it was just a really good tactics game? And I kind of wish that's what they did here. Like, I'm not even saying I want XCOM to do that, but I think that this game would have benefited from a more simplified take on the genre and just made the tactics fun and the story fun. And instead, the tactics are pretty good and the story's pretty good, and then the spreadsheet is bonzo boring. So sign me off on that, or up, or no, away. Unsub me. Unsub is what I want to do from that game. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Instead, we're going to talk about these things. The Bafta Game Awards 2021 happened, and the big winners were kind of the big winners everywhere, which was Hades and Last of Us Part 2. Boy, Hades, just a parade of winning everything in any category it's nominated for. And Last of Us, no slouch either when it comes to any of that. Any surprises there, John? Did you expect your Last of Us business to do well in that market?
I think it deserved to. I mean, it's definitely not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's a divisive game. I think it's a divisive game, even if it's the kind of game you like. It's a difficult year to want to tell a story about a viral outbreak, and one that's going to be depressing and sad and emotionally daunting. Yeah. I think the big surprise of winners that I saw was Sea of Thieves won for Best Evolving Game, which is, the idea of games that have, gone past their initial launch. They're continuing to expand. The nominees were Destiny 2, Dreams, Fall Guys, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Sea of Thieves. And I would have thought No Man's Sky was a shoo-in for this. I didn't know Sea of Thieves was really pulling it together quite that well. I think that's cool. Maybe
people are loving that game.
Sea of Thieves again.
Yeah, I need to check it out because everything I've heard lately is great things. The only thing I don't like about Sea of Thieves is it's not great solo. Now, I understand the game is meant to be a multiplayer affair, and that's the whole point of it. But I like when those games service single-player content as well, because my schedule sucks and I can't always coordinate with people. And I just want to sit down and play a video game. And I wish that game would let me do that more or better than it does. You can, but it's not a great single-player experience. Or maybe it is now, and I haven't looked in a long time. So perhaps I'll check in. Here are your full list of winners. Best game, Hades. Geez, best game. Look at that, best game. That's crazy. Turns out we all like Hades.
It's weird because they have a best game and then a EE. I don't know what the EE stands for. Game of the year.
Oh, EE. Entertaining.
EE. Last of Us voted for by the public.
Oh, it's a public game.
Okay.
It's a public vote. So Last of Us Part 2 won it.
Right. That makes sense.
I guess the committee would have chosen Hades.
Sure.
Yeah.
British game. They gave it to Sackboy, A Big Adventure. I haven't played that or even heard much how that game went. I hope it went well. I like Sackboy. Animation went to Last of Us Part 2. Artistic achievement to Hades. Audio achievement to Ghost of Tsushima. Debut game to Carrion. That's that cool alien game where you're just kind of a blob growing through the station killing everybody. That's a rad game. Evolving game, Sea of Thieves, like you said. Family game, Sackboy. Game Beyond Entertainment, they gave to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think it 100% deserves that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like a cultural, right time, right thing, but it was a massive, important part of last year. Let's see, Game Design, Hades. multiplayer game, Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm not sure I'd give it that, but
Yeah, what's up with that? Like, do they play multiplayer games? Like,
it is multiplayer, and it does serve. I've been to John's Island. I gave him a tip. I went and took some of his fruit.
Anyways, I hate award shows. The criteria should not be it doesn't have multiplayer. It does. Like Deep Rock Galactic's on this list,
and that should have won.
You're telling me Animal Crossing is a better, like a more deserving, fantastic multiplayer experience than Deep Rock Galactic.
I mean,
Fall Guys. Like
it's obviously all subjective, but I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that because one of my biggest complaint about this particular Animal Crossing is how a lot of that stuff works. Like, it is a little disjointed and janky. People come to your island and leave your island and make you load out of it, even though you're not the one leaving or coming. Like, it's kind of busted multiplayer wise. It's just you made do because you wanted to gamble and talk to the freaking raccoon kids and get the best deal on the stuff and all that. Like, there were things that you were willing to deal with just to play, but they were, some bad structural stuff in that game for multiplayer.
You're thinking there's innovative stuff here, but this isn't blowing my socks off. It's like the best we had to offer on the multiplayer front, and this is your ambassador.
Yeah,
it's the only game you ever saw.
Like a sentimental choice. Like,
yeah.
It feels like that same reason it won Game Beyond Entertainment bled into the multiplayer of this idea of, in a time where everybody's in their own house, this got us socializing and interacting together. But, I'm kind of with you. I think if you're going to say best multiplayer, I want something a little more traditional than just it was a game where other people were involved in it.
Right. And it was kind of painful when they were. And you couldn't shovel your own. You couldn't shovel your own dirt when people were in your town. Like, you couldn't do your own.
You put up with it because you got rich from it. You're like, oh, I went over here and made 1 trillion bells. I feel good about that. That makes up for this horrible multiplayer experience I had.
Yeah, that's a little weird, but I also understand the lasting impact of that game given when it came out, and I guess they gave it 2 awards for that in the end. Let's see, music: Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I would like to hear that soundtrack since I haven't played the game. I do like game soundtracks, so I'm interested. Narrative, they gave it to Hades. Original property, Kentucky Route Zero TV edition. Keep meaning to play that. Performer in a leading role, they gave it to Laura Bailey as Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. A controversial character, John, if I'm not incorrect. True?
Right? I sorta. Okay. I'm convinced most people that are up on the controversy of Last of Us Part 2 haven't played it.
Yeah, that's most things though, right?
Yeah, I think people read story beats on a news post and got mad. I think people who played it understand what it was.
Sure.
Whether they liked the game or not, I think most people who played it went, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah. Well, she is very good, and it's very cool that she won. Performer in a leading supporting role went to Logan Cunningham as Hades, Achilles, Poseidon, Asterisk, Charon, as they say it, I guess, and the storyteller in Hades. He's very good and obviously incredibly talented, and he did a great job. We've talked about that, like that really understated performance of all of the voice stuff in Hades is so weird. Like, it's
very ASMR.
Yeah,
without being ASMR, I guess.
Yeah,
they're not tapping the microphone, but they're all right up in it.
I mean, he just like, oh, hello, Aphrodite. Didn't see you down here. And she's like, oh, that's okay. You want to freaking rub my boobie? No, I'm good. And then you're on, Like,
There's a lot of lines of dialogue in Hades. I didn't get that one, but, there's a lot of them. So.
Oh, I assumed everybody got that one. Wow, weird.
Maybe if I do another run, I'll get that one. That's intriguing.
Okay.
But, it's also crazy. He did all those voices, and he also did the music.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing, is this is the guy who does the music for Hades as well. Oh wait, no, is Logan?
Oh, I take it back.
Guy?
No. You're thinking. No. Okay, so this guy's the guy that did all their previous games' voice work, but there are characters done by the music guy, and the music guy is fascinatingly talented. That guy.
Yes, because
he's
he also
really
did a
interesting.
good job.
Yeah,
he
killed it.
did a fantastic job on all the characters he played. He was your main character, Zagreus, and he was also Skelly, because I remember watching in the behind the scenes him talking to himself.
Yeah.
Hey, boyo.
Yeah, hey boyo.
That was, by the way, a great recommendation. I binged that whole No Clip documentary series on it, and it was fantastic. I loved it. It was very, very good. I recommend that very highly. I already like No Clip anyway, and those guys are doing great work, but that series is just a really great example of start to finish kind of game under the hood stuff that you just don't get to see anywhere else. It's very good. Super, super good. Good recommendation there. Let's see. We got narrative. We said Hades. Original property. Oh, we did that. What am I missing here? Oh, here we go. EE Game of the Year was voted by the public. I don't know what EE stands for, but still voted by the public. The Last of Us Part 2. So pretty good list. I feel like there would have been more. I don't know. I expected more diversity in the winnings, but the BAFTAs are baffling. They're baffling. So that's just the way it is.
Baffling. Well done.
That's pretty dumb. All right. Niantic is teasing that these are the Pokemon Go people, if you're not familiar who Niantic is. They are once again partnering with Nintendo for a Pikmin AR game, it seems, or it appears. Now, when I saw this, it was more of a teaser and not a confirmation, but I guess it's been confirmed at this point.
Yeah, they're full on talking about it now and saying that yes, they're going to be working on a Pikmin AR game. It's interesting to me. Normally, I write these off, and you get Grumpy John saying I hate phone games and all of that.
Yeah.
But I've been very heavily into Pokemon Go. It could have been on the what I played for probably the past several months now. It's gotten me out walking. It's gotten me to a much better place as far as my personal health is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to discount that game when it's done so much good for me. It's also drained my bank account a little bit, but I mean, it's like a gym membership in a lot of ways for me. So it's been very good. And sure enough, one of the things they said was the app will include gameplay activities to encourage walking and to make walking more delightful. So it seems to be that is still a primary focus for them, getting people out, getting people walking. And I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. Although I'm not the biggest Pikmin fan, so I will probably be sticking to Pokemon Go.
I liked Pikmin when it wasn't timed, which I think maybe was Pikmin 2 or maybe 3. But Pikmin 1 I hated because everything was timed, and if you weren't, and by timed I mean the entire experience had a time limit. So by the time you were done, you either did all you could do within the allotted time, or you didn't. It's like if somebody came to you and said, hey, you were born in 1975. We know you're going to die in 2035. So hope you get everything done you meant to. Like, that's a little bit how it felt. I don't like being told when the end game. I don't want to be told when the finish line is. I hate that. Like,
very dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah, but it gave me that feeling of like, I'm never doing enough. It's never enough. How am I? Oh my gosh, I have to sleep. I have to, like, think of how you would feel if you knew that. I'm sure there's some positives I'm not thinking of, but to me it would drive me crazy to know that. So yeah, Pikmin is a mixed bag for me, but I like them as characters. They're fun little Nintendo-y looking goofballs. So I'm into that. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Coming, we don't know when. They're working on it. That's all we know.
Yeah.
Microsoft is apparently, or was, and maybe still is. I have actually a theory on this, so I'm not super keen on saying it's happening because I'm pretty sure it's not happening, and I'll tell you why. But Microsoft looked like the lead contender for the company that might buy Discord, and that Discord had been shopping things around, not just for investment, but possible acquisition. And there were a bunch of people on that list, and it turned out Microsoft was, in the end, maybe the biggest one, or they were for sure talking to Microsoft. They confirmed that. The problem is, people assume when they hear that means that the deal is happening and that the negotiations are about acquisition, and that's not necessarily true. When you're moving around in the world of big investment, you do a lot of due diligence, and sometimes that's talking to parties who are maybe just interested in talking to you, or may want to invest and not acquire, or may want to acquire and not invest, and that would include companies like Microsoft and probably places like Tencent and others. So my current theory on this, and it was based on a conversation I had with Tom Merritt, who knows a lot more about that end of that tech business than I do. But I came away thinking that this is not actually going to happen. I think what's going to happen is they will end up choosing to do an IPO. They will go public themselves in various markets around the world and continue on building and growing and being a bigger and more monstrous Discord as time goes on, and not actually sell to somebody like Microsoft. And the reason my theory is pretty well set right now is not because Microsoft doesn't have the money. They definitely do. There are other entities that have the money. Here's why I think it won't really matter. Microsoft gains very little by owning it. They already benefit by being a company that's massively involved in video games. Discord primarily being a communication tool in the video game space. They already benefit from tons of groups that talk about Microsoft stuff, are in Microsoft's wheelhouse, whatever. Just like there are many, many Discord channels dedicated to Sony and PC gaming and niche gaming and Warcraft servers and everything else. Like there's all of that stuff already. You're already benefiting from the community tool that it is. You don't benefit much more by owning it, because why would you? You just don't. So this would be a bit of a throwaway money-wise for them, because they just don't need it, because it's already happening for them with it. It's not like they're blocked from it now or not benefiting from it now. And some have said, well, this is just like Teams, right? Why are they making Teams if they want to buy Discord? Teams is aimed at business in the way that Slack is and other services. I don't think that plays into this very much. People have tried to compare this to their Skype acquisition and how they kind of fumbled that quite a bit over time. Although I think they only paid $1 billion for that, which was like freaking nothing in today's terms. So at the end of the day, I just don't think they're going to do it. I think that Discord's going to probably make the decision, and they've said as much. They've said, look, we're thinking about IPO. We're thinking about additional investment. We're thinking about acquisitions. We're thinking about all this stuff. Never once have they said, we're selling, and it's Microsoft. I just don't think it's going to happen. So we'll see. Also, Microsoft just plunked down $7.5 billion on Bethesda. Yeah. I would be more inclined to think that if they were going to spend another $10 billion in the game space, it will be acquiring more developers and or making new deals, like the current rumor floating around that Ubisoft's entire library might soon become like EA Play and be a part of Game Pass, no extra charges. That's massive if that happens. EA Play was already big. That is massive. If the two big EA Play and Ubisoft services are under the same roof and are offering their stuff through a Game Pass sub, is just insanity, especially if the price doesn't go up as a result. So anyway, all of that being said, any thoughts, feelings? Am I right? Am I wrong?
I feel like, no, I think you're right. I think it would be interesting to see if Microsoft's desire is a way to bring Discord more integrated into their various platforms. I mean, you've got a tool that PC players kind of default think about when they think about game communication and communities and stuff like that. And they're trying to build this infrastructure that's a bit more open between PC Game Pass and their Xbox Game Pass. And right now, there's not easy communication between the two. I can see them maybe saying like, hey, what if we partner with Discord in such a way that it allows us to have PC people play with Xbox people? The communication can be facilitated through Discord even, right. As a good way to have communication cross-platform and things like that. I think that's probably more where their interest is, rather than just, hey, we have another video game thing that we bought. Because I'm with you. I think their interest is probably more in studios than owning a community / communications service.
Yeah, because if anything, they've already got that in the space they want that in business with Teams, and Teams is massive right now. It just keeps growing, and it's pissing off. It's making Slack mad. And so Slack's doing a bunch of stuff lately to try to sort of keep up. And I don't know, it's such a weird niche right now, that whole space of like, hey, we're all connected and talking. And it's basically replaced forums, and whoever owns those platforms are that's a massive thing. So you get a ton of users this way, but is it the kind of users Microsoft could leverage for anything? I don't think so. Like Bethesda players, that's something you can leverage because it moves it over to your services, over to your video game consoles, and then you can choose what games, if any, end up on other consoles and where they end up on PC, and like they just have a lot of options. But even if Discord is viewed as games plus something else in the Microsoft stable, I just don't see it. Bo, thoughts, feelings? Discord? I know you don't love it anyway. You're not a huge fan of Discord, but
I'm not a big fan of Discord. So I'm not super affected by it either way. I just feel like, I'm pretty ambivalent to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead and buy it. Like I already thought Discord was, I don't know. I know these companies have to make money to design these awesome things that are free, but I hate the Nitro service. I hate the fact that they were trying to become a games platform at some point.
Oh,
somebody over there is trying to cash in on a payday at some point, and that's how all these things sort of end up. So I imagine it'll be the destiny of Discord. The thing is, it's a chat service. Like people will drop that in a hot second. What a New York minute or a Los Angeles minute, whatever. People will drop that in a Taiwanese minute if they whatever that means.
Well, at the moment,
if it stops being cool, like if it just like I think there's anyways, but and I feel like Microsoft doesn't have a good track record of making things cool when they buy it. So I think most users would probably feel like they don't want Microsoft to have this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they may, but at the end of the day, like if they didn't change much and they just injected it with tons of money and it just got better and maybe improved some of the stuff we don't like and all that sort of stuff, like I'd be all for that. It's just, I just don't think they benefit from this. Like they wasted more money on trying to get Mixer going, and then they pooped it at the end, and they just said, we're not doing that. Well, if they're not doing that, they're not doing this. Like, why would they?
Microsoft, it's just different companies have different cultural identities. Like Microsoft's identity is like we're your operating system. Yeah, we have cool things. We're doing cool things with Xbox, but we're also the people that has a dialogue box that pops up and says, "Are you having trouble connecting to the internet? Click here to troubleshoot." And then a circle spins, and then it says, "Is it this?" And proceeds to tell you 10 things that are not wrong and be completely unhelpful with how to do things, or Clippy, or any number of things that are super uncool, but you accept because it's part of computing. Like Xbox to me has always been sort of an anomaly, and the fact that they kind of get things right there is weird. So if it isn't the Xbox team or that division, I don't trust them to make anything actually cool in the gamer space. Like that's other companies do that much better.
Yeah, and I think they know that now. They've gotten to a place where they know that, or they've learned.
Like if they keep hands off of Bethesda and let Bethesda keep rolling the way they are, that's great. But if they start really getting into Bethesda, that company's future is probably not very
well, that's what they claim. They claim, like one of the first things Microsoft said about that acquisition was, look, we're going to let Bethesda make the games they make. They're going to let them build the things players want. And we're going to just make sure they have the vision, the money, and the space to do it. That's good if that's what they do. In a lot of ways,
Xbox, the thing they do is they provide the supply chain for the devices.
Yeah.
That's like the actual device manufacturing is boring. Like it's the content that's on it that's great, and that's why Sony's able to be a cool company with their PlayStation and Xbox. They're not actually making a lot of the content first party that is desirable for the consoles.
Chat room says somebody in the chat. Let's see. Mr. Mooncat says they broke Skype in the last couple of years when they forced everyone onto a new version. I would disagree with that. I would say they broke Skype because those new versions sucked. So any product worth its weight, you want to move with it and grow with it and have the new version because it's better. If it's not, that's where it broke. It's not because in no world does anyone want people forever using ancient things. Just because you liked an old version of something, they would much rather have you on the new hotness because you want to be there. And so when your product makes a version there where you don't want to be on the new one, that was Microsoft's flub. Not that they didn't, not that they changed it. It's just they changed it and it was no good.
It got rolled into the Windows 10ification of everything. Because I think the way it was designed looked like a Windows 10 app back
Yeah.
back when they were proposing that we never want to use our old start button again or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
like no, we like the PC environment you made. Like, yes, move things forward, but this is the standard we've set. Like, it's unexciting and unappealing and hard to market, but it's what we are used to.
I agree. They also just struggled on the multi-platform front. The Mac version was weird, and I used it, and now I hate it. If I can avoid it, I just don't use it for anything. And I don't think they would do that with something like Discord. I think they'd be more hands-off the way Amazon is with Twitch. It'd be sort of like, here's all the money in the world, make Twitch.
They're hands off until it's not profiting, right? I think
you'd have to. Yeah, exactly. Like that is always going to be the rule. Like, if anything, with the Blizzard problems we've seen in recent years, it's because we're now getting to a place where overall Activision profitability depends on them intervening in the way Blizzard does things to get stuff faster and more the way Activision's used to doing things. And you could argue that
directors wants to hear a plan. They don't want to hear, oh, don't worry, it'll take care of itself. They want to know what your plan is, and they want to see you follow up on your plan and actually do the things you're going to say and blah, 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 blah. And that's how you get into the corporate uncoolness that these companies that trade on being cool get into.
Yeah. It's really interesting stuff, though. But we'll see what happens. Watch it. We'll see. Who knows? I just need Discord to make I do all my podcast stuff on a Mac, and I have an M1, the newer chip thing, and I would really like an M1 version of Discord, please. So whoever's in charge over there, if you can get off your ass and make it. All right. Steam now has standards, it appears, lest you think that everything's just Lust from Beyond. Although, again, nothing wrong with Lust from Beyond. As I reported in my semi-review last week, Lust from Beyond is very not lustful. It's mostly scary. But Steam...
I've definitely seen very flat-out pornographic images, even in the preview section of some anime cartoonish games.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was with great shock that I read a headline that Steam flat out refuses to sell Super Seducer 3. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's FMV, but it's a game, isn't it?
Didn't they put
that's exactly what Steam said was their rule. That's apparently the one barrier they have, is if it is full motion video, they are not going to do it. They're not going to put it on their platform. They don't care. It can be all the anime boobs and penises you want for days, but as soon as it's a real person, Steam's going to go, I don't think we're going to do that. Which I guess I can understand. When you're actually filming people, there are some standards about, hey, how old was this person? Did they come to you willingly? Are they wanting to be here where they weren't coerced into doing anything? Like, there's a lot of potential questions that could come up when you're actually filming something. And I don't think Steam, based on the fact that they basically are like, yeah, sure, porn games on Steam, we don't care. I don't think they want to do due diligence on that. Steam is very hands-off. They don't seem to like to get involved. And I think it's easier for them to just say, don't put it on our platform, than to try and be the ones policing the content when it comes to actual people in their porny games.
Yeah, actual porn, like video porn. I see why they're making the distinction. I thought it was because the skeezy premise of the game, which is some douchebag who you play trying to pick up women constantly and just using all the sleazy ways to do that. Like this, I guarantee you this thing is not a guy going to a bar and going, hey, good looking, and her going, I don't talk to men who talk like a-holes. I'm a strong independent. Like, it's all just him saying shitty stuff to women. I guarantee it. That's why I would have a problem with it.
It's that manipulative game. Like, she probably would say something like this, and you're supposed to pick the sociopathic correct thing to get you to win the objective, which I assume is to knock boots.
Right. Yeah, of course.
I kind of assume there's no porn in this either. Like, is there? Like,
I don't know. I'm looking.
Because I'm like, yeah, okay, there's scantily clad women, and yes, it's very, I don't know if chauvinistic's the right word, but it's very maybe toxic masculinity, all that kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. But, like, do they actually have porn? Because, if it's just actors in dramatic situations without actual sexual contact, then it's like, how is it different from, they sell movies, you know, they probably have sex scenes in some of the movies that they have on Steam. How is that all that different? Yeah. But
the actual line from Steam was, Steam does not ship sexually explicit images of real people. So I would assume that somewhere in there was something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but that was what their reason for rejection was.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. And you know, I think we all wish they'd apply that to the anime games, but like to some extent, like, but
I don't know. I have a new segment on this show that basically thrives on the existence of those games. It shouldn't always be porny games, but I gotta tell you, they got the best reviews. As somebody who's been reading a lot of Steam reviews, they got the best reviews.
I'm not going to waste a lot of breath trying to call out Steam for hypocrisy because it's just dumb. It's a waste of our time to really talk about that. They're a company, they can decide what they want to sell and not sell. It's their prerogative. The end.
Yeah.
But the only thing that was remarkable about it is that they did set a line somewhere, because it felt like that line was lowering and lowering and lowering with every passing month. So, you know, the thing that's remarkable is, for whatever reason, they do have, there is a bottom.
Yeah.
We've touched the bottom. You know, I think we've done it once before. They won't do something, I think, excessively gory or excessively violent, because I think there was that violent game that also got pulled a while ago.
Yeah, Hatred, was it? It was Hatred.
Yeah, something like that. There was some uber. So, but on the sexual content front, we haven't seen a no from them or a standard. So this kind of gives us a sense of that.
Oh, I take it back. I take it back. Hatred actually came out. It's on there.
On Steam?
Yeah. I can't remember what the deal was.
Oh, it wasn't Hatred. I think it was a different game then.
Because Hatred was the one where the guy just decides to go nuts and shoot everybody. It was basically a bit of a glorification of sort of mass shooter sort of thing, where a lot of video games do that without explicitly saying, here's a disgruntled white guy in a basement with a...
Oh, I mean, if you're BJ Blazkowicz, you can mass murder all you want.
Right, you kill
all,
you're justified. Just kill those Nazis all day.
But, you know, murder's murder. Like in real life, you're not going to be like, yay, you went to Germany and shot a bunch of people. Like, woo!
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a sad and tragic thing that we don't condone at all. Or at least, you know, we shouldn't. And so, yeah. But the games that market themselves as like, play a terrorist and do very, very simulated things that are very... in a horrible, too close to reality kind of way, like, yeah, I guess that's fine, because that's what Hatred is. It's on the store.
Yeah, it's there. $5 or sorry, $6, and it came out in 2015. That's how long we've been talking about that game.
In Canada, it's $6.69.
Nice. Is it? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
$6.69.
All right. Anyway, interesting stuff going on there. I found so I've been talking about this a lot this week with tech friends. The follow-up to the Switch, either a Switch Pro or whatever the next version of the Switch is, or possibly even the Switch we have now, but with this new tech added. Nobody knows. It's all rumors at this point, but it looks like rumors are supporting the idea that they would use NVIDIA's DLSS technology, which means the Switch in the future, when this tech is introduced, could produce 4K output. Now, for those who don't know what that is, I forget what the actual acronym stands for, but basically how it works is it's like really smart pixel interpolation technology that's done with machine learning and some other stuff. The end result is gobsmackingly gorgeous. And I saw an example where they took Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. They set the output resolution of that game to like 1024 by 768, some tiny little postage stamp freaking ancient resolution. And then using this technology in the newer cards, DLSS, it can take that stuff and scale it in such a way that it looked better at 4K, ran smoother, looked better, just looked really good using that technology than it did if you ran it at its native 4K, which it already supports.
Yeah, I used this for Cyberpunk, actually, and it was an amazing way to have the graphic settings cranked way up on Cyberpunk and still outputting at a good resolution without it impacting the game speed.
It's crazy.
It's amazing
how it looks. Yeah, like even in just a practical use like you just described, that I can think of a million reasons why somebody with a, not the greatest hardware, or maybe, a game from next year or the year after, just is not going to run at full clip unless you do something like this. And then now you can do it and have it look as good or better than people that are trying to run it at native. Like, it really is a genuinely impressive tech. But it's new and not a lot of games support it yet. In fact, I want to say one of the first ones that did is Cyberpunk. There's probably more than I think, but they're talking about that technology and the next generation, not full-on graphics cards, obviously, but the Tegra chips that the Switches are all based on. That newer stuff would make the Switch suddenly an incredible output device when it came to televisions. And the beauty of it would be the same Switch, like the one I'm holding right here, would still only need to output at 720 or 1080 or whatever the heck the screen is now on portable mode. But the minute you plug it into a TV, suddenly you've got seamless 4K, still running at 60 frames per second, still running all the features you want, like no hit to performance. Like, that's a massive idea. And honestly, not just for them. Like, other console manufacturers could do this. Just PC gaming could change as a result. Like, it's really cool stuff. So anyway, I didn't intend for today's episode to be full of like all the details, but if you want to go learn more about this, just go Google search or YouTube search DLSS tech demo or comparison or whatever, maybe the Horizon Zero Dawn, put that in your search and your mind will be blown. Like, it's really something else. Which makes me wonder about a lot of old games that had like maximum resolutions of like, I don't know, 800 by 600. What do those look like? Like, could you do that? Could I take?
Looks like Diablo Resurrected. Diablo 2 Resurrected. Turns out they aren't doing anything. It's just they put on DLSS and that's what it looks like.
Yeah. It's really neat though. You thought ray tracing was cool. I actually think this might be the future. Like, ray tracing is cool, but this is a massive thing. And it just means I don't know how to explain it. It's like you can get away with so much more with having less with that tech. Mm-hmm. But it's more complicated than I'm making it sound, or even less than I'm making it sound. Just go read up on it and see what you think. Okay. What else? That's it. That's all we got there. Hey, how about we have 2 this week? Sweet. John, what flavor do you like? What do you which kind are you doing here? Like
we're doing regular Martha.
All right.
We're going to do some 2 regular Marthas.
Here we go. Dear Martha, Stream Review Edition. Take it away.
My dearest Martha, I present to you first a review of VR Paradise, a game which is a virtual strip club. Martha, I love this game. When I first saw VR Paradise on the Steam store, I was a bit skeptical. I was not sure if I would enjoy it, but since they had a free demo, I said, hey, why not give it a try? And OMG, I am so glad I took the time and energy to set up VR Paradise. I am using an Oculus Quest 2, playing wirelessly through virtual desktop on a 5 GHz Verizon Fios internet connection. It works great, and the graphical fidelity is amazing. The strippers look so real, and one of my favorite aspects of this simulation game is how realistic the body movements are. I love to walk around looking at the strippers walk from behind. It is so hot. The table dances... made myself laugh. The table dances, pole dance, and private dances are fun as well. I recommend getting some good quality headphones that are tailored to your headset. I use the Logitech G333 on the Quest 2. Improving the sound makes the game more fun and immersive. It's very nice that they allow you to store your own music. The only small quirk is every once in a while, when a song ends, it will repeat the same song. It shuffles most of the time. I'm sure this small glitch can be fixed with an update. Overall, I'm very satisfied with my purchase of VR Paradise. I ended up buying all the DLC and outfits. To be honest, I upgraded my Quest 2 to the max with a VR cover and Elite strap to make the game experience more comfortable. It's also great that you can customize the strippers' outfits, hair, skin tone as well. I can't wait for a new strip club venue to be released via purchasable DLC. I support this game all the way. It has brought a new regular activity to just sit back, relax, and enjoy being in a virtual strip club. I highly recommend VR Paradise. Yours in this life and the next. KN 1992.
These are killing me. Wait, you have two, though. You have two, right?
I have two. That's the first one.
Okay, wait. Here comes number two.
Same game?
Different game.
Same game?
Different game.
All right, here
so
comes
watch
number
the trailer while you read it. It was
Yeah.
a disturbing experience.
Here comes number two.
My dearest Martha, I present to you now a review for Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. It's Puyo Puyo Tetris 1, but with a 2 and Sonic. Yours in this life and the next, Jurexpert.
Why is that so funny? I didn't expect that to be so funny. Oh, I shouldn't have drank water when I did. What was I thinking? Dude. Is Sonic really in Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 or whatever? Is he really?
Yeah, he is. That's one of the things they added.
Oh my lord. That was awesome. All right. Best new segment we've ever had. Well done. All right, now this. Games we played. I'm just here to tell you that I finally beat Outer Worlds. Yes, that's right. The Obsidian.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And it looked better and ran better, right?
It did, because it's weird because that's a Microsoft game now. It's one of the first acquisitions when they bought Obsidian. It was like, hey, this will be on Game Pass day one, and it was, and it was going to be on PC Game Pass as well as the consoles. And sure enough, it was. The console version was the Xbox One version, which was locked at 30 frames per second. Fine, whatever. That's that generation with that kind of game. But the PC version, had all the tricks and whistles and everything. So I started on PC, but eventually thought, well, I'd really like to play this on the couch. So when I got my Series X, I was like, I'm going to do that. And it turns out the game does not support cross-save between console and PC. It does PC to PC or other console to console, but will not cross-save with each other, which makes no sense to me. I don't get it. I don't know why. It was, I guess, an early example of a game on the service, and they just never put it in. I don't know. So I was like, well, I still want to play this on my butt. So I started a new game on console, and I just lived with the 30 frames, just thinking, this will be fine. I don't care. Whatever. It's an RPG. It's more about the story, and, I don't care. I mean, frame rate's not going to kill me. But I would lie if I said I didn't wish the frame rate was better during all of that time, but play it, I still did. So jump ahead a bunch of months. And 2 weeks ago or whatever, they put out a patch to coincide with some new DLC that also upped the frame rate on consoles, PlayStation as well, on PS5. So both those versions now run at a 60 frame per second clip. And it's a massive improvement to the game. It still doesn't include some of the stuff you can do on PC, but it's minimal, the differences. And so I was like, sweet, I'm going to sit down and finish this thing. And I got way hooked since we last talked over the weekend. And I played till the end, and I beat it, and I loved it. And I think that game's great, and I want more of it. And I'll probably play the DLC now because I'm in the mood. But I just love Obsidian games, and I think that game is great. The game is basically, a spiritual sequel to New Vegas in a lot of ways, which they also made, and that game's fantastic. So's this, and I really had a good time with it. Chat room asked if I'd seen the dumb ending, because there's an Easter egg, I guess, where I heard about this, where if your intelligence is less than 5, is it, and you just purposely in the game, when you're adding all your stats, or if you refund them and do it again, because you have all your your strength and all your modifiers, it's just your sort of D&D style thing. If you keep your intelligence below whatever the number is, 4 is it? There's a super dumb ending, and by dumb it's like people just walk around going so then they like there's that kind of thing. I haven't seen it, so I don't know for sure how it goes.
Really? Oh my!
But that's awesome. The version I got, I don't know actually what ending I got. I was gonna go hunt down the rest of them on YouTube and just see, but I loved it. I love that story. I love those characters. I love my companions. There was a little bit of Mass Effect feelings for me in that thing. It's cool. That game's great. I want more of it, and I can't wait to play Avowed whenever that comes out. I hope it does, because it looks like I'm going to love their next game too. So anyway, had a great time with it. Again, that's Outer Worlds, available on Game Pass and everywhere. You can get it on everything. So there's that, including Switch, I guess. There's a version on the Switch. So there's that. What else? Oh, so then, Bo, you'll like this. I was like, hey, that was a fun first-person RPG. I should play another one of those. So I started a fresh run of Deus Ex Mankind Divided from 2016.
Yeah.
And boy, howdy, that game is not only good, but it sure scratches that itch that Cyberpunk didn't quite hit. Well,
it does the corporate Illuminati, proxy militia, William Gibson Cyberpunk more justice than the brofest that is Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
Tonally, yeah, it's the mark you want to hit.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
it's very good, and I'm into it again, and enjoying the crap out of it. I'll probably, I don't know if I'll finish it again, but I really like that game a lot, and I just like all the augments and the cool crap you do. I mean, both those games, the newer games are great. The old games I used to love back in the day. I'm sure they don't hold up now, but I thought that original 99 or 98 game was pretty rad.
Adam Jensen's pretty iconic too. Just to get Elias Tofexis, the voice actor.
He's great.
I'm Adam Jensen.
Yeah,
and like they really nailed the voice actor. It's an iconic character. I just wish he was more popular and more iconic as a known thing, so they'd make more games. But
I would love a new game.
That's really good. And the DLC, which I actually have to go back, I need to play it again and play the DLC because I stopped in the middle of it, and I don't remember why, but I was enjoying it. But you actually you go to prison, but it's on purpose, so you lose all your augments. But it doesn't feel it's in the desert, so it's like, and there's all these augs that are stuck in a prison. It's an aug prison.
Oh wow!
So and it really feels like a prison. Like it feels like this cramped. It's hard as hell to sneak around because prison's not known for letting their inmates like sneak around unsupervised. So it's actually really challenging and interesting milieu for this kind of a stealth game. And I just never finished it because it's actually really hard. Like sneaking around the prison is not an easy thing. So I recommend the DLC for sure.
Well, I may get there and try that finally, because I didn't play that my first time with the game. And I can't actually remember if I fully finished it, or I know I got really far. And I know that I liked it more than not Mankind Divided, the other one, Human Revolution. Which was also good. It just had some issues. But it's been, so that game came out in 2011. This game came out in 2016. They're about where they could announce a new one. So I'm not 100% sure they wouldn't. We always say, I wish it would have performed well, but it made money. They made a lot of money on that game. They didn't fail. Yeah. And I feel like maybe there's a little resurgence. It was on sale on Steam the other day for like $5 for one day. Now it's back up to full again, but you could get it super cheap.
If you haven't played Deus Ex, the director's cut contained, because the DLC was like, it's plopped in the middle of it. So you get this really long, full game experience. It's awesome. I love that section in The Missing Link where you go deep under the ocean and they're manufacturing like augs and stuff. There's this really like scary laboratory. It's so good, man.
Oh, I'm into it.
Yeah, and Mankind Divided is really, I like the take that they did with it, where it's like it's two zones of the same city.
Yeah,
which I think is the Hague. You're in the Hague.
You're in the Hague for a bunch of it.
And and there's like, it's like it changes over time. There's even this cool part where you're traveling.
Not the Hague, Prague.
It's like
Prague. Sorry, Prague.
It's Prague.
Yeah,
I thought the Hague was in.
Well, is the Hague in Prague? Where is the Hague?
Maybe you fly to the Hague. What's the name of that Og city that you go to?
I know I'm definitely in Prague right now. Early on, but I don't.
Maybe the Hague is like the opening mission. I don't know. I don't know why I have the Hague stuck in my head, but it's a fantastic milieu. But I like when you fast travel and the trains go down at a certain point in the game.
Oh yeah,
when the fast travel is just Adam Jensen looking like a badass walking down like an empty train core. Like, they just nailed it so hard. It's just like, oh, why couldn't Cyberpunk bleed this kind of cool and not the kind of neon orange juice kind of cool that it does?
Well, I will
not to take anything away from it.
I will say this too, like on PC, it still looks glorious. The animations on some of their faces and stuff kind of bad, but not many worse than any other game from 2016 or.
I mean,
the
Human
last 4
Revolution
years.
had that too. Where I think everyone's head's probably too small for their body. There's a little bit of that going on. I think in Mankind or Human Revolution,
Yeah,
and I think that preserved a bit
a little bit.
in Mankind Divided.
Yeah. It's a cool game though. I'm really digging the vibe, the music, all of it. It's just way more my jam, and so I'm gonna keep hacking away at that a little bit.
Breaking into the bank. Do you break into the bank at all?
I did the first run. I haven't gotten that far yet, and I don't with this run. But I also don't. It's funny. It's not that I don't like them. I actually kind of like them, but I don't think I really know what I'm doing with the hacking mini game. I think I just sort of get through and it's okay, but I don't think I'm being strategic about it. I think I'm bad at hacking.
I just hack everything in that game. I actually really just enjoy the mini game. I'd read all the emails, even the useless ones.
Oh, I like that stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of like cool.
I can't. Oh no,
story.
the one in the second one's very similar to the first one. Basically, it's just there's a speed element to it. As soon as you trigger the alarm, you've got to hurry your way through it.
Yeah,
but it is a little like
the fortify thing, and there's like.
Yeah, but it is a little rough. I definitely did some save scumming with those things. I hate getting busted when I'm too slow.
It's cool though. That game's great. I think the voice acting's great. I'm gonna keep playing that game. And then my new portable addiction that I can't stop playing because I love it, and I've talked about it on PC before, but I was really always sort of waiting for this version. But the Switch version of Littlewood came out. And yes, that's a funny name, but anyway, Littlewood is $15, $15 on the Switch.
I think Scott remembered the joke I made when he played it on the PC.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's you name your town whatever you want, but the name of the game is Littlewood, and it's I don't know, it's got it. There's some. Shut up, Alexa. Alexa, shut up.
She's like Littlewood.
How did she get her name out of any of that? Anyway.
Littlewood sounds like me when I'm only a little excited.
Littlewood, order me some toilet paper. See, she didn't hear it that time. So anyway, this game's like I don't know. You take a little bit of Stardew Valley, and you take a little bit of Animal Crossing, and you take a little bit of the Harvest Moon games, I guess, and some of the essences of those kinds of games are in here, but it's a very different take. Super simplified. Cute graphics. One developer, by the way, guy made the whole schmear. Super talented guy. And it just gives you a ton of freedom those other games don't give you. At any time, you just go into a build movie menu and just say, I'm going to move these 4 trees over here and move my house over here. I don't feel like rebuilding them. I'm just going to do it. Like, it just lets you move stuff around and do whatever you want. It doesn't have a day-night cycle. Well, it does, but the way it works is it's like a meter you fill up, and you do that by doing work. And you can extend that meter by paying upgrades and doing some other things. But basically, if you're chopping trees a whole bunch that day, every time I chop a tree down, a little thing goes up, goes up, goes up. And when we get it to the end, it's dark out. So you basically force night to come. And then you go rest at your house, wake up the next day. You've leveled up a bunch of stuff. Go get your money from the market. Too many systems to mention here. But if you'd like those games, if the Animal Crossing progression stuff is your jam, but you'd like something just a little bit more get in, get out, sort of. That's what Littlewood is, and it's so perfect on Switch. My gosh, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. And that guy's really talented. His next game is like some kind of Pokemon-style take that's set in the same universe, the Littlewood universe. I don't know much about it other than I'm excited because he's so far impressed me with what he can do, and it's just awesome. So anyway, Littlewood on Switch. It's also on PC still. Use a controller if you can, because it's better that way. And I think it got delayed in other markets, but the U.S. North American Switch version is out on the eShop. That's where I got it. $15. Pfft, so much worse you could do. $15. What's that? Lunch somewhere, sort of. After tip and whatever.
Yeah, it's about lunch.
So get it. Yeah. Don't eat.
No big deal.
Don't eat. Get it. Littlewood. It's great.
Skip a meal and buy Littlewood.
That's right. Now, Bo and I got to talk about a thing. We'll do it here jointly. That Magic ARPG called Magic Legends, which we've been both looking forward to quite a bit. I think John as well. It's like, hey, the Magic universe is going to make a Diablo-like, and it's got this cool idea of using cards and all this sort of stuff. And we were pretty excited about it. The open beta started. Epic has it. I guess you can do it direct as well. And downloaded it, installed it, and that thing is beta. Like, it is an unpolished, not turd, but it's unpolished. Like, it needs a lot of work in a bunch of areas. I have to say, though, I think the core systems, like me in the battlefield, cycling through those cards, using them to fight in a real-time way, felt pretty good. But the rest of that game is so janky. Like story stuff and opening sequence stuff and herky-jerky animation, and the server stuff's a little wonky right now. Like, it's not...
It has this floaty quality to it.
Yeah.
Like where your guy kind of gets, I guess, nudged or just sort of floats around. The clicking isn't super satisfying, like to move. Like, there's just a feel to it that's like, whoa, guys, get the basic.
Just
the game
very
like
unpolished.
play nice.
Yeah. It feels like you could tighten everything that you just said up, right? Like, I feel like they could, but it's not right now.
Like maybe they could. I hope it's the kind of thing they can fix or feel it's important enough to fix, because all these ARPGs, whatever you're talking about, they're usually responsive. Like, you click, you move, you attack, it works. There's no lag. There's no floating around weirdly. I get caught in so much geometry, and I've watched streamers play it too, and they're getting caught like in just corners of tents and stuff like that. It's miserable. And then when you're like, there's this kind of dog pile effect because you summon creatures in this game, right?
Right.
And I think they have it so that you can't pass through units. Like in Diablo, your units never really get in your way. You're never pathing around your friendly summons. But in this, that's kind of an element, and the enemies do, and you do, so you get jostled around.
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't register clicks very like accurately. Like, it's, I don't know, something needs to be fixed. It didn't feel crisp on that front, and that made me feel like, I don't know, this might just be toss it out there and recover whatever money you can for it, and then head for the hills. Like, kind of, it's got the scent of that stuff, and when I smelt it, I was like, I don't think I want to be a part of this.
I wish it was further along in development. I think they put it out too early, because it didn't. Again, it feels like the kind of thing that a capable team could take and say, tighten this up, clean this up, do this, do that, like make it a better game, and they may do, but it felt pretty raw coming out of it.
The only innovation on the genre they're doing is the cards. Like, plenty of examples of these games existed. They're not doing anything shockingly new where you're like, oh yeah, maybe this game should be this janky because they're breaking new ground and it's open beta. But there's some standards for quality of an ARPG product that they're not hitting, and I think that's where my worry comes in. Where I'm like, they might just be phoning this in. It's a licensed game. I want to think well of Wizards, but I don't know. Like, I just don't think. I have a bad feeling, but I think I am going to play it. Like, I played it for an hour. I uninstalled it in a fury. I was like, this is bad. Like, but it has good stuff in it. Like, it's like I'm kind of compelled with it. So I did reinstall it a few hours later and gave it another hour. I don't know. I don't know if I love the card thing, because you know how like you put a certain ability on a certain button. Now it's never in the same button spot. It's like
swap around.
It's like if I had put a dodge ability in, like a vault on the demon hunter in Diablo, like I expect to move or dash on the monk.
Right.
In this setup, I have to like look to see where that is. And
like, not only that, it's like keys 1 through 3 or 1 through 4, and then Q, W, and E are some basic attacks that you always have. They have cooldowns as well, but they're like your class abilities. And for the one I can't remember who I picked, something like a holy magic guy. I forgot the name of it. You'd probably know better than me. I'm not much of a magic dude.
The white mage guy, whatever.
Basically, yeah. And he had this like wave of holy light that he would lay out, and it would lay waste to stuff coming at you and stuff. And those are fine for what they are. But I kept doing this thing where I'm like, oh, I got that card again. And I went to hit it, and it was W instead of 2. I was like, frick. Okay, wait. Sorry. Oh, no, now he's at 1. All right, well, I'll hit 1. Like, some of that stuff's a little weird. I don't know how else you'd have the effect of scaling through a bunch of cards, which is what they're trying to do. But it would almost be better if you went into a fight and said, hey, here's a deck of cards you've unlocked. Take your favorite 4. And then you choose which 4 you're going to take, and then you can do this idea of assigning that ability to 2, and it's always 2. or it's always 3 or whatever. But they didn't do that here, so I don't know.
Yeah, I guess when they always come up, they're assigned to that button. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm sure that presents its own complex. Like I just don't think ARPG game mode was designed to have random card draw. Like it's just someone else would have thought of it by now if it was really that great of an idea.
Mhm.
And it isn't just like, hey, we're so lucky we have a card game IP and we want to make an RPG, so it works out. I'm like, I think this will be a fun diversion for people who don't play a lot of ARPGs and don't really like Magic, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the hardcore ARPG crowd, like myself included, is kind of just be like, this is too random.
It's not going to be their thing, yeah.
And they're not wowing. The story is generic McGenericson. The game client's not in the best shape.
Mm-hmm.
And the combat's not that good so far. I just spam the buttons and things. I don't know. I'm not finding it very compelling to play the fights either.
Yeah, it's not great yet, or at all. Maybe it won't be ever. I mean, I like to give these guys time and their benefit of the doubt and all that, but it's pretty raw right now, which sucks because it looked like preview stuff looked so pretty and so like, ooh, a fresh take on the genre and all that. And now I'm not so sure. So
I think it's I think they have that stuff in spades. I think probably they have a great art team. They have a great design team.
Mm-hmm.
The menu system's nice. It's just the basics.
Just got to
because that gameplay first that we always love Blizzard for, and that's kind of it. It's the invisible stuff, the stuff that you take for granted. That's like, oh, this is responsive and super crisp, and it feels good to play. And this is like, oh, they didn't get that part down.
Yeah. By the way, breaking news. Someone in the chat just informed me, and I looked it up real quick. The Wall Street Journal is reporting just now. This just dropped 4 minutes ago. Or so. Microsoft Corp is in advanced talks to acquire messaging platform Discord Inc. for $10 billion or more, according to people familiar with the matter. As the software giant seeks to deepen its consumer offerings, it says that it would be completed by next month. That's basically the new part of the story. And let's see. They also go on to say that the reason they also think this is all going to happen is Discord's been considering an IPO, just like WhatsApp and Signal were doing, right before they were picked up by somebody bigger.
Like WhatsApp was picked up by Facebook.
Yeah, and Microsoft's got a $1.7 trillion market cap value right now. It's really not very much money if they decide to do it. So I might be dead wrong. I may be wrong. Maybe they're doing it. I don't know.
I don't know. I can see they're buying up IPs. You can see a world where they're like, let's integrate the Discord service into Xbox Game Pass, and boom.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, if they're making deals with all these partners, Ubisoft, EA, all of that, having a central hub that supports voice chat and game communities and all of that around it isn't a bad idea. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we'll see.
And they take another chunk out of competitive platforms. You know, like Nintendo will always be around doing its thing, but Sony, you know, they're spread out so much in the PC and console platforms. Everyone's going to feel like, well, I have to go with Xbox because they own everything.
Well, if that thing happens with Ubisoft, that's massive. Like that. I mean, it's not on its own so much, but just as another reason to get Game Pass, and it will depend on that price holding steady. If that price holds steady, and that EA Play and all of Game Pass, with all that implies, with all the new acquisitions, like, it's almost scary what this is. It's almost like scary monopoly business at some point. Like, it could be, you could easily get conspiratorial about it. As a gamer, I'm thrilled about it because it seems like a hell of a value. Yeah. But we'll see. Okay.
New. Yeah. At the same time, there's lots of indie development. There's lots of other options out there. They'll never own everything. So
no, they can't own everything. But but they basically are building Netflix for games in a way that's far more. It's happening quicker than I expected. Potentially, I guess. Yeah. John, you're playing Final Fantasy 14. And it's because you and WoW are in a bit of a, you guys aren't getting along very well lately.
No, I don't think WoW's very good for
for
people whose interests and time investment and all of that share mine. I don't think WoW's offering right now is very good or in service of you. I'm sure you guys are going to talk about it on the instance. There's also another news story. Blizzard just not doing themselves any favors with changing how you can buy game time for that game now. That's a pretty controversial decision for anybody that's not doing a sub but doing month to month buying game time.
Right.
So I mean they're doing some weird things, and I'm a little out of love with WoW at the moment. And I started playing Nier Automata. We talked about that I think last week, and we started talking about Final Fantasy having a tie-in to it. And that got me to reinstall Final Fantasy 14 and say, well, let's try it. Let's see how it's going. And I really like that game. It is the breath of fresh air that I needed after leaving the Shadowlands. It's just so interesting how it can feel both old school and kind of retro in how it plays, but you also look at it and everything just feels a little more modern and rewarding in a cool way. I'm going down the rogue job path, which would surprise nobody, but I actually didn't the first time I played it.
I'm more shocked that you didn't the first time you played it. That part is shocking to me. Wow.
Well, it's weird because in Final Fantasy, I love dragoons. Like, I always thought dragoons in Final Fantasy were really cool because they do that move where they jump off the screen and then whatever happens, and then they come crashing back down. They do big damage. I always thought that was cool. It doesn't exactly play that way in an MMO. You still get to do it, but it doesn't exactly... It's different in a turn-based game. But the rogue story is really cool. You're basically, I don't remember what they call it, but the idea is like you're in this piratey cove, and there's laws that the pirates have to abide by.
Pirate laws.
If they don't abide by the pirate laws, they go to the rogue guild and they send you out there to deal with them.
Okay.
It's basically like, hey, you broke the pirate code. Now you're going to have to deal with the rogues. And like, it's a really interesting story, but it does such a good job of that dynamic that I feel like WoW has been good at in the past of, yeah, sometimes it's really serious, but sometimes it's really funny. So you go from one storyline where it's, hey, these guys robbed some pirates of their lawfully acquired loot, and now you're going to go get it back and teach them a lesson, and they follow you into the guild and they try to muscle you, and they don't realize they're in a rogue guild because it's a big secret, and all the rogues just stab them to death when they come in and try to muscle in on you. And it's like, wow, that was dark. That was really cool. And then the next one, you're dealing with the fallout of someone stealing someone's sandwich, and they're very unhappy because lunch got stolen from them. And it's an interesting dynamic, but
so they put out a kit on them?
They don't, but there is a point where they're like, hey, wait a minute. The code says you don't steal from other pirates. And he goes, yeah, but this is just a sandwich. It's fine, right? And they string him up. He's still alive. They don't kill him like they do some of them. They still string him up from the top of the city for everybody to see for being a filthy oath breaker. And I don't know. It's cool.
It's way more hardcore than I would expect.
That's the other thing is that game can be brutal in a way that's misleading. I mean, you're dealing with these little like potato people that look like cutesy little kids, and then they're pulling out daggers and stabbing people and talking about going to the bar and getting wenches and stuff. And you're like, what is this?
Getting wenches.
You're like, what are we doing? It's great. I'm having a lot of fun in it. It's a nice distraction and feeling like I'm back in an MMO again. And it's my favorite part of the MMO. It's where it's not racing to end game. I'm not grinding currencies or reps or anything like that. I'm just enjoying the leveling at my own pace. They does feel like they have sped that up and that they've brought that in, because if you remember, the last time I played this was before a lot of that work was done. So everything's feeling a little more brisk and everything's feeling a little tighter. And I'm just really enjoying my time in it. I can't say enough nice things about how that game is playing for me right now.
Yeah. Everyone I know who plays it loves it. I liked it when I dabbled last year, and now you're making me want to get in there again. Yeah, I'm hitting a bit of a WoW wall as well. It's like, it It feels different than the usual WoW Wall smack up that I have at a certain part of it.
Dr. WoW Wall.
Dr. WoW Wall. He's in the Wadar room. I have to go find him. But that that wall feels like a more, I don't know. It's a weird wall. I'm looking at a weird wall.
Is it just that you guys have done it a number of times? Like the X-Pac experience is pretty.
Maybe.
It's pretty similar, even if it varies from X-Pac to X-Pac. I mean, there's a bit of that.
Fully willing to admit that that's possible, that I've been at this since the Friends and Family Alpha in 2003 is when I started playing World of Warcraft, and I've never left really. And maybe that's part of it. Like if I was a brand
the base
new player,
game was a different experience than the X-Pac. Like, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's true. I think for me the problem right now is there seems to be they've rolled back rewards. They felt like they over rewarded people for things in Battle for Azeroth, and so rewards have been brought down significantly. So you're getting less. But the problem I ran into is, I don't raid, I don't do mythic dungeons, I don't do a lot of the high end stuff. I want to enjoy the game from a more casual perspective. And they gave me really good gear very easily just by getting to the end of the leveling process. And then they were like, okay, well now what you're grinding is you're essentially, it's sort of like the Fortnite season pass stuff. It's like, oh, you got to a new rank and this is what you unlocked. But most of the time what you have unlocked is the ability to then grind the currency to buy the stuff you unlocked. So you go do your world quests and all of that so that you can unlock the ability to go do those same exact world quests to get the currency to buy the things you then unlocked. And it's like, this feels like just the most empty, unfulfilling loop that I've ever experienced. Like I almost prefer rep, which is saying a lot. Like I'm missing the days of reputation, because at least I was buying that stuff with gold, and it wasn't like, oh, you're exalted with us? Okay, now do that grind again so that you can buy the stuff you just got. And Torghast is super cool, but the rewards in it are just not interesting and not compelling. Otherwise, I'd be in there constantly. And they did something I didn't even realize they were going to do, which was offer kind of events in Torghast, which is for this week, when you go in, we're going to, instead of the normal upgrades that you can pick along your run, like maybe this week you're going to be able to have a pet with you, even if you're not a pet class. And you'll be able to pick perks to power up your pet. That's super cool if you feel compelled to run it. The problem is nobody's really excited about going in and spending the amount of time it takes to do a Torghast run when the reward is so empty. It's like, oh yeah, you went and you killed, 5 hours and you walked away with a little bit of soul ash that you can maybe use to make a legendary if you haven't already made it. So it's just an empty experience right now is my biggest problem. Is I've never been more aware playing WoW that what I'm doing isn't earning me anything, and it just feels very hollow.
Yeah, I think you said it pretty well, and I'm feeling similar feelings about where I'm at. I'm not quite, I really want to see 9-1, but there's a lot of what you just said is me. I'm hanging some hope on like Torghast being tweaked and made more rewarding in that patch, and they're doing things in that regard, but I don't know if it's enough yet to really change how all this stuff is feeling. And I don't know, it's just hard to explain. It's not even like I don't have any hate to throw around. It's just feeling a little rutted on it right now, and more than I usually do at this point of an expansion, like even more than I did with BFA. Like in BFA I was at least sort of like, oh, well, like any expansion, I'm kind of done for a bit, or I'm going to, put it on the back burner until a big patch comes out or whatever. This time I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know what WoW is anymore. It's hard sometimes to kind of see it through my perspective, which again, like Bo's right, is a long ass perspective on a game that I've been playing forever. And,
I mean, it's not anything. I don't know what I would expect them to do. It's just 5 zones and some dungeons and then raids. Like, and this is, what is it? Seventh expansion?
9th,
8th,
9th.
Yeah. So it's the 9th. Trip to the well, 2-year trips. Like it's the human brain needs novelty, even if you like one particular game, and it's just it's a lot of time. It could just be as simple as that, and maybe there's nothing wrong with the game, but you've experienced a lot of it, and there's tons of experiences out there. You can play Octopath Traveler or Outer Worlds with your time, and it's just these things compete for your limited amount of hours each day, and that's where you end up feeling about these things. That's kind of why like Shadowlands had an awesome trailer and awesome premise. Like by all accounts, I feel like I should be playing it.
The story's awesome. I love that.
I know what to expect in terms of I'm going to get to a point where I've done some of the leveling and it's going to look the same as the previous expansions, and I'm going to get distracted by something else that is more appealing.
Yeah, I love the story. I like how the story's still unfolding. Like that stuff's great. It's just that once you hit it and then you're told, hey, by the way, from now on, spend all your time basically doing what you've done for the last 8 expansions. Like just let's grind some reputation, try to get some gear, go do these raids. If you can, okay, you can't do that. Okay, try doing these public dungeon things. Like try to keep playing in the same way that we've asked you to do that long. Maybe that's part of my problem. And maybe that's why things like Final Fantasy, at the very least, it's coming from a different design perspective where they're just like, hey, yeah, sure, we got the basic, camera behind the back, keys 1 through equals all have abilities on them. We're using that part of the template. But beyond that, we're just saying, here's a big world with all kinds of shit to do, and I don't know. I maybe I just need to change.
New and different. You were playing Elder Scrolls, and that was probably a different experience than WoW.
I liked ESO. I still do. ESO is my favorite go-to secondary MMO, but partly because it's totally different than playing WoW.
That's what I found appealing about Black Desert was just the fighting was just completely different too.
Yeah, that's
like it was just combo. It was like playing a Street Fighter game. Like you do combos and it's flashy. It's actually way worse game than WoW, but it's like I'm grinding mobs in a fun and unique way that I can't get anywhere else. Like that's the appeal of this game. So,
yeah, the other thing too in the chat reminds us, Laura for real's like, hey, the game's 50. The first 60 levels are free. That's out of 80. The current cap is 80. So there's so much free game there. And it's not a free to play game where they're constantly hounding you for stuff in a store. You just are playing it. I don't know.
I didn't know it was free like that. That's crazy.
Pretty compelling business in that thing. So,
it's cool. It looks great. The other thing is like WoW has 1 trillion pets, and they all kind of look crappy. I never really do anything with them, and like it's weird to play this game and run around and see the dumb little animals people are running around with. But they put so much time and attention into them that every single one I look at, I'm like, oh, what is that? Look at that, because they put some dopey friggin' pets in this game. If you're a pet collector, there's some cool stuff in here, including just a big old fat cat that just looks like a ball. It's great. I don't know. There's something about the art style in that Final Fantasy that is really, really good. Every time I get a piece of armor and I go, ooh, we're burning crusade over here with this armor, I get something else and then I just look like a badass again. Like the game's a lot better at making my character feel like a badass in the world than other MMOs, because you play a role. Like you are a character in the story and you're an important character. You're not just, oh, champion has arrived and then someone else does everything. So you play a more pivotal role to that story, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah, I just think maybe we're 15 years is a long time for a game like World of Warcraft, and man, it's amazing how well it has done for as long as it's done. But maybe there is a point where you go, all right, either there's a sequel or you do this forever. And you can't really start. I mean, what else can you do to innovate in that engine, in that game, in that the tools that you're given? What can you do? Can you do anything else, or is it time for a new thing? Like what really? I'm gonna get emails about this because people always freak out when I talk about WoW in this way, but it's fine. Yeah. But I was talking to, who was it I was talking to? I can't remember, but somebody had sent the video around of the Unreal Engine 5 walkthrough of Thunderbluff.
Stormwind?
I think it was Thunderbluff.
Whoa, there's a Thunderbluff one?
Yeah, you should see this thing, dude. And I don't even like that stuff normally, because normally I'm just like, well, yeah, you rendered a high-res version of a thing. Of course it's cool because, you can't do that in the game it's based on. But this in particular was really like, oh my gosh, why is this not the game I'm playing? Why can't we go here sometime soon? It's not just about graphics either. It's just about a world that's just more immersive and mechanical and things I can do in it. And I think the game desperately needs to get to somehow achieve that. And whether it can do it as it is right now or not is a question. It still clearly makes them millions and millions upon millions of dollars and is a cash cow even to this day. So probably don't change it if it isn't broke is the attitude. But I don't know.
Not if they're making money. And then it's up to them whether or not they even want to. World of Warcraft was a work of passion that went beyond the means that a normal company would feel like taking the risk on. You know what I mean? Like, because they're part of Activision Blizzard now, that conversation's different. It's not Mike Morheim taking out his credit card to pay people's salaries to make sure they get this dream project done. You know what I mean? Like, It's an against all odds kind of situation. So they'd have to be really invested in doing the second iteration right, no matter the cost kind of thing.
Right.
And, as budgets become overdue and games have to get handed in to meet deadlines, stuff gets left on the floor. And that's where you get the 50% game release that like Magic Legends is. That's my take on Magic Legends. It's time to turn it to the public. Whatever we got.
Yeah, that does feel like
hope for the best. That stuff is more common, I think, in the gaming space than uncommon, and that's where World of Warcraft does stand out. Is that there was passion and commitment from the developers on all of their games, and we kind of hope that tradition continues into the future with new properties.
I think one of the reasons that Final Fantasy XIV feels the way it does to John and to others and felt the way it did to me when I played it was because it's almost like it's the only one that's in the space that isn't just trying to be WoW. It feels like they don't care. I mean, they care that it's an MMO and that people pay money and that they play it. They care about that. But they're not all wrapped up in this. Like not once since I heard about Riot making their MMO did I ever go, oh, I'm sure they'll come at this with absolutely a brand new idea. I think they'll come at it like all MMOs. It'll sort of be one of those again. And I don't know why I feel that way, but it feels like most MMOs are just sort of chasing the same cheese. Whereas this feels like Japanese developers that are like in their own world a little bit, kind of doing their own thing, thinking of their own ideas and not really paying attention to what.
Oh, and they got to live up to the Final Fantasy brand.
That's a whole other thing.
They can't just chase. Yeah, they can't just chase Blizzard. They have to also. People go to Final Fantasy for certain things. They have to be true to that, and I guess that shows too.
Well, and it's got one of the most fascinating, like, behind-the-scenes stories. We talked about the no-clip documentaries. If you want a really good one, watch the making, the ending, and the remaking of Final Fantasy XIV. It's an incredible story, and it also serves as the narrative of the game. That's the other thing that's interesting, is Final Fantasy XIV came out, was a massive failure. They kept it going while they kept supporting and kept it going while rebuilding the game from the ground up at the same time.
Yeah.
And then did a pivot where they shut it down for a period of time, switched over to a Realm Reborn, and then launched that. And the funny thing is like the story of original Final Fantasy XIV is the prologue for the story of A Realm Reborn. It talks about that game's events. It talks about the event that ended that game is the thing that started this new MMO. It's really crazy, some of the ideas that are at play in there and also that existed behind the scenes. So it's a really cool story, and it's definitely the story of, like, an underdog where they were like, well, we made this thing. It's not very good. People don't like it.
Yeah.
Rather than just shut it down, let's support it and do something amazing with it, and they did.
Yeah, and if you look at that work, that's a work ethic I admire. Like, there's something about them going, yeah, we effed this up. We're starting over. We're doing right by this. That's a massive thing. Like in any other example of this, that thing just fails and it goes away. It's the Matrix Online, or it's the whatever. It's just a million of these things.
I played that, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they just go away. But in this case, they're like, no. We refuse to let it go away. We refuse to let it be a failure. There's a lot of that. Maybe there's a lot of Japanese culture in that. And that's okay with me, because I just think it's an amazing success story. It's really cool that they pulled it off. So I'm going to play more of it because, damn it, John's talking about it. And it's on my PC. I just sort of got away from it. But that game's cool. And it also looks good. The 6.0 upgrade coming out soon will be like an engine upgrade. and console version. At least PS5's getting a new version of the game. I'd like to take advantage of the hardware. PC people will benefit from the change. Like, it seems like they're willing to keep moving forward with that engine, whereas the WoW one, it seems like they really eke out a lot out of WoW. They've made a very pretty game in 2021 out of what is essentially still that place that we all visited in 04. But despite that, it's always going to look like that. It's always going to look like World of Warcraft. It's going to be giant wide halls, blurry textures on the floor, and some janky geometry, and it's just going to be that game. And it's okay. It's okay that it's those things. But some of us are starting to feel a feeling. We're having a feeling. Okay? That's all I'm saying there. John, how's Loop Hero? I've been playing as well. I forgot to mention it, but love the Loop Hero.
I'm conflicted on it because I feel like I found a build I like and I just play it all the time now. So there's a part of me that sits down and goes, why am I still playing this? Like, I found what I liked and what worked. And when I end the loop, when I'm like, oh, it's getting scary, I go, all right, let's play again. And I build that exact same build. Mm-hmm. And there is a part of me that's going, what am I doing? I need to either spread my wings and venture out and do something different. But I did learn today that there are secret bosses in that game. And I find that incredibly intriguing. Like, apparently, if you cover an entire path in swamp tiles, you will fight the Frog King. And apparently, if you can also if you can set it up to where enough effects are landing on the same tile, if that makes sense, like how a lot of things have zones and areas. You put a spider thing and it'll be in this spot, and you put a forest, but it covers a big square. Apparently, if you can get it to overlap enough areas, you can fight the developers of the game.
What?
As a boss.
Are they like little old PC graphics looking pixel guys, or what's the deal with that?
Apparently they look like monsters, but there's a lot of inside jokes. Like, you'll mouse over them and their abilities will be stuff like Grate and Crunch, which means when they get low on health, they get more powerful. Or, one of them's like listed as a speed runner, which means the fewer buildings you have, the less powerful they are. It's a bunch of inside joke things, including, it sounds like, some of them making fun of themselves a little bit. But yeah, apparently that game's just chock full of hidden bosses depending on weird things you do with your loops. And I'm like, man, there's so much more to this game than what I'm actually doing. Maybe I shouldn't quit just yet. Maybe I just need to dive down the rabbit hole of reading about these things and checking them out so that I enjoy it, as opposed to just going, well, I got my build, I'm done.
Yeah.
So
I understand that. I'm still enjoying it just for the sort of, I'll tell you how I play it. I don't sit down and go, I'm playing Loop Hero. I sit down and go, all right, I got a call starting with advertiser or somebody who wants to do whatever. This is going to take me a half an hour, and all they need me to do is just listen to them. So I'm going to play Loop Hero while I do that meeting. And it's been great as a meeting game. One of my favorite meeting games of all time. That and the very excellent, which I also played a bunch this week, forgot to mention, Dicey Dungeons is just such a great freaking game. And I've been playing that like during meetings because why not? I mean, I'm still listening. I can be mindless with these games. It's not that big a deal, but man, Dicey Dungeon kicks ass. That game's great.
Yeah, Dicey Dungeon.
It looks like it was made by some 5-year-old, like graphically. It's like, it's okay, but it's so cutesy, it's almost painful. But the actual gameplay in Dicey Dungeon, legit. Like fun, strategic, interesting. I think getting rid of dice is its own fun cycle of like, I have dice. There are 5 of them. I have abilities to stick dice into to do damage or shield or whatever, and I can do that, and it feels good to rid myself of the dice. So it's like this little cleaning out every time. Dice, 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 dice. I have no more dice. End turn. As opposed to cards, which is usually like, well, I can only spend 3 mana, and now I'm out of mana, but I got 4 other cards left, and they just get thrown into the discard pile. Like, this game has got a great sort of dump your shit kind of quality to it. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, there's no planning for future turns, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, what do I do this turn?
It's deviously good. People should be playing that. All right. Bo, Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
You may have heard of it, everybody. Heroes. Still a thing.
It turns out I'm back on my Heroes of the Storm kick. Like, I have all these games to play. I haven't touched Loop Hero again for another week. Partly because I guess I don't have meetings where I can do that. So if I just play Loop Hero intentionally, it's just like, it's very passive. So I think Heroes for me is like comfort food. The game's super responsive and, just plays really good, and I enjoy it. And I'm not bad at it. So
the game's awesome.
I keep meaning to play other games. I just haven't got to them because it's also fits nicely in an evening.
I do wish
you can play 6 games and then just call it.
Sure. I do wish it had. I don't know why I wish this. I wish I had RTX support. When you have a 3080, you just love to see games play with it. And Blizzard doesn't allow modding, so they'd have to do it themselves. And I would love to see how that game looks with like proper lighting in there.
My expectations on content and updates is really low for the game, and that's actually it can be a positive because the game is sort of set in its state. It's got a lot of maps, it's got a lot of heroes. Like you don't really need more updates if it's just going to be the casual side game that it is now. And so in that regard, it is a very, very well polished game experience.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still lots of people playing. I don't ever wait for games, so. And Hogger, I've been playing the new hero. He's a hoot.
Yeah,
he's hard to control, but he's kind of funny. He's like, "Me eat faces," and you're like, "Okay, I can get behind this guy." Me throw explosions.
Yeah.
They definitely play him out his. I don't want to say that his low intelligence, but his low vocabulary. Yeah, they definitely.
Blizzard's very good at that. They're good at that. Even a team that's been sort of, people think they've forgotten how to do this stuff. They're still some of the best ever. It's amazing the stuff.
And I mean, if I had one other gaming experience for the week, because we do like to share these things, I did log into Genshin Impact. I did pay. I paid for that daily freemium money, or not freemium, but paymium money or whatever.
Paymium. I like it. Good.
And I got enough to buy 10 wishes, which is a good amount to buy if you want to guarantee some good loot rolls in a gacha game. And I got a 5-star rare hero that I wanted, Venti. He's a little boy in blue or green trousers and like white stockings, and he's just he's just the most Shakespearean Barty looking anime dude, and apparently he's top tier, so now I've got a top tier hero in my lineup.
What does it do for
great.
What does it actually mean? Is it just that they're rare cosmetic characters, or do they actually do something?
No, they're like, it's basically like Heroes of the Storm. Like you run a team of 4 that you can swap to in the middle of combat. Like imagine playing Legend of Zelda, except as Link you could switch to 3 other characters in the middle of combat. That's kind of how it goes. So you have a team, they all have different moves, so it's like you swap them in when you've used all your cooldowns, you swap to a new guy. And I don't know how many characters there might be 40 or 50, but you only have a lineup of 4, so you're hunting. That's where the loot boxes come in. You're hunting for your top tier heroes potentially, or just whatever you're looking for if you're collecting them. They also have prestige unlock, so if you unlock a copy, you get an extra ability. So one of the ways to level them up is just to get copies of the same rare heroes and get your millions and millions of dollars. It's a gacha game. Like it's
I was
totally
gonna say, like that sounds exactly like a Spider-Man game I had for a while that I had to get rid of because I turned out I was a whale. Didn't know that I was a whale till I played it, and then I played it, and then I
now you're
was
a whale.
Like, oh, I spent $200 on this.
You had a
blowhole.
Do you have a blowhole installed? You should do that. Be a full whale. Get a blowhole and everything. Do it.
Yeah, I will say Genshin Impact is going to be the most well-polished, beautiful, gorgeous, fulsome experience game you'll get for any game that's doing it. Like Warframe, like everything looks hand animated and beautiful. Like it is an absolutely gorgeous game. I don't know how fun it is yet. Like definitely the exploration's okay, and the puzzles, it plays like a Zelda type game. Like it's not bad, but I can't compare it to Zelda because I haven't played it. It's enjoyable, but I just think it's a gorgeous game. I think I want to play it more than I actually want to play it because of how beautiful it looks. Like I'm in there and I'm like, wow, this place is really nice, but I don't know. Anyways, but so I just logged in and got my free hero logged out. That was the extent of me playing it. I didn't actually play it. I just played the buy shit game in there and then left. So
you got your little dude, you got your little boy with his shorts on or whatever.
Yeah, I got Venti. Yeah.
Venti is his name.
Venti the boy bard.
Okay.
with a bow and arrow.
Kind of creepy, but
I don't know. It's a gorgeous game, but it's I don't know how seriously I'm going to play that thing. I kind of think I might play it some more, but I don't know.
I'm with you. I love the look of that game. When I heard it was becoming a big thing, I went and I saw the graphics and I went, I have to get this game. And then I found out what I needed to do to get it. And I said, I don't care anymore. But I was with you for a little bit because I loved the look of it so much. I thought it was very
and
pretty.
they do the free stuff really well. You get tons. You want rewards, you get tons of free stuff like constantly. I don't even know how it's almost confusing how much free stuff and things you get in there. They do the reward loop pretty well. And the other thing that they were in the news actually today because they made $1 billion in the last 6 months.
Jeez.
Apparently that was also
really,
yeah. In 6 months they made $1 billion. It's a hugely popular game. So if you're looking to benefit from whales, they've already given them $1 billion, so you can just have a free to play game that's gorgeous and plays super well. It's a controller game too, so you can play it on your couch. It's not. It must be on consoles too. I'm surprised it's not on Xbox Live or something.
So it is. It's on consoles, and I want to say. It may only be PlayStation though. PlayStation 4. I can't remember now, but the phone version and the PS4 version are the only two with like set up stores. If you want the PC version, you got to do their installer and everything. And I think that if they can blow that out a little, put it on GOG, put it on Steam, put it on Epic, put it wherever, you'd have a way less of a. Because my big thing is I don't want to go download their weird untranslated freaking launcher.
Oh, no, it's not bad. I did it. It was okay.
I went to get it and everything looked fishy. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna.
Like I guess I know what you mean. It doesn't.
It might be better.
It looks like I'm. I don't know. I mean, I definitely get what you mean. The quality of the launcher was not stellar, and yeah, some stuff's a little janky. But once you get in the game, you're like, oh, this is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous experience.
Yeah, I think we all had the same experience. The difference is Scott and I saw the alley and we went, oh, we're not gonna go down that alley. And Bo was like, no, there's pretty anime people down here going down this alley.
It's self abuse. Well, not self abuse. That's too harsh. What is it? Self sabotage. I'm like, I know I hate these games, but they're so gorgeous. Trailer Park Boys. I have to play this game called Greasy Money that's clearly designed to take my money away and not be a good game. And so I feel like this is another one of those trips down those corridors. I'm like, this game is beautiful, but I have only spent $6.99 on it, so I don't feel that bad.
Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah, that's all right. If you're having fun, I mean, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. Those are the games we played. And now I have a special announcement. Do I have a clip for that? Hold on. Here you go. Oh, geez, that's not good. Here we go. Oh, I like this. Special announcement, 1970 style, I guess. Hey, I started a new Frog Pants newsletter. And it's available now and costs you nothing. And is so easy, it's ridiculous. Signing up for it or leaving it if you want to is super easy. But basically, you just go to frogpants.club. Yeah, that's right. I bought a .club domain just for this. So go check it out. frogpants.club club and join up. You'll sign up for it. You'll get these in your email when they come out. You can also just see them on the page that they're based. And anytime there's something new, that's cool. Now you might say to yourself, well, what's the point? The point is, I put all sorts of stuff up on there, including some game stuff, possibly some guest articles from people in and around the industry, special interviews, that sort of thing. Again, it'll cost you nothing. Sometimes it's just updates about what's happening around the rest of the network. So if it's stuff you've missed, you're like, oh, I didn't know they were doing that on FilmSack. I should check that out or whatever. You'll see some of that. I'm about to launch a Kickstarter for Rock Runners. My card game finally is coming out soon. April 5th is the plan. Nice. So there's a whole big post about that in there. Art that I draw and doodle and stuff. I drew an axe during D&D last weekend and put it up on there, and it's both all three sketch, ink, and color phases. So it was a cool way to see that stuff. Basically, they're back. Newsletters are back. It's like a zine again, like Bo's old skater zine, but without any skating in it. So anyway, I want you to go check it out and enjoy it, and I hope you guys like it. It's over at frogpants.club. If you haven't already signed up, please do. Whole bunch of people have, and we're always open for more. And you can read the archives too, so if you missed it or you signed up late, it doesn't matter. The stuff that came before, you can still see it, and anything that's new will be sent straight to you. I think that's it. A reminder that we are supported by your good graces over there at patreon.com/core show. Huge thanks to everybody who supports the show. It means a lot to us. Keeps the lights on and keeps us here. So if you haven't yet, go over and read what you can get for supporting us and also do it. It's at patreon.com/core show. Everything else you might be looking for is at frogpants.com/core. And talktothecore@gmail.com is our email address. Please keep those coming. We love that stuff. I think it's going to do it. Before we leave, John, words of wisdom before we leave. Anything from John?
I have a follow-up. So last week we talked about PPTPs and how I didn't think they were very good. I want to give a shout out to somebody. Corey on Twitter reached out to me and said, here's a parenting tip. What you do is when you go to change the baby, you unstrap the diaper, you open it, you blow into the diaper area and then recover the diaper. It triggers them to pee, and then you don't have to worry about the PPTP. You give them a minute, you open it up, they've peed, you're safe. This totally works. I tried it, and it 100% works, and it was amazing. Wow. And the only person who didn't like it was the baby, who felt like I had ruined his fun. So there you go. That's the solution.
Nice.
You blow really into the diaper?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
You lift it up, you go, and then you put the diaper back, and...
I'd heard this as well, and now I'm having a memory of maybe even doing it with my kids. John's right. It totally does work. I can't believe we didn't bring that up.
Does it work on adults?
Does it work on adults?
Because I'm thinking you get a really long straw and sneak behind somebody and just sort of stick the straw in the shorts and go, and then they peeing themselves.
Yeah.
When you asked that, Bo, I just pictured you in the bathroom looking down, going.
Well, I was thinking of doing it to someone else, but yeah, well, maybe if I had to go pee, maybe I could do that too. That's not a bad idea.
Well, that bit of dad advice is hard to compete with. Bo, any final words of wisdom from you before we go?
Yeah, listen to John's great advice. It's pretty good. I can't top that.
Yeah, it's not bad. Blow into your diaper.
That's all I can think about right now.
Yeah, so everyone blow in your diaper. Best of luck to you all. We'll be back next time with more right here on Core. We'll see you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
I never get sick of that. Ever.